What annoys you most about celebrities, and why? Celebrities who were born into families that are already established in the industry need to be more honest with themselves and the world that they were able to make it big because of their last names. It's not their fault that they were born into the family that they were. But it's not always what you know, it's who you know. And nepotism has played a big part on how a lot of them have made it big. Sure, they still have to put in some work, but it's less than some random person from a regular family would have done. I think Jamie Lee Curtis was one of very few actors that I heard of that has acknowledged that most of her success comes from the fact that her parents were Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis. I was surprised when I found out Nick Cage is a Coppola as an Uncle Francis Ford, but didn't want to cash in on the name. It's amazing how many famous people are actually related and or connected to the industry. It really is all about who you know. The ones that change their names almost piss me off more, because you bet your ass they are using those connections, but want us regular folk to think they made it on their own talent and hard work. Blah blah blah. The consequences rarely fit the crimes they commit. Committing murder and having nothing happen to you because you're rich enough to avoid jail, and there's men in prison for 10+ years for weed dust. Privilege literally means private law. It's one set of rules for the rich and famous and a different set for the rest of us. Fines are just the cost of doing whatever you want. There's a lot, but something recently just happened that made me furious. Ellen and her show is being investigated by their network for having a toxic work environment. Something that former and current employees are coming forward with. Celebrities are now hashtagging #ISTANDBYELLEN to show her support, and some like Katy Perry and Ashton Kutcher are saying, "I have always been treated with respect by Ellen. She has showed me nothing but kindness. She's a great person." Ricky Gervais was right when he said these celebrities are so out of touch with the real world. Of course she'd treat her famous guests nicely, because if she was rude they wouldn't come back, and she wouldn't have a show anymore. It would just be her sitting in a couch and being a bitch to everyone. Rachel Bloom had a great take on this. Link com/rattled-status/1290786309452095490. Just wanna say that I have both worked behind the scenes of TV shows and been the celebrity guest on them, and the two experiences are very different. Having a good time being a guest does not necessarily have anything to do with the experiences of the employees. They are given so much free stuff, but have the money to pay for it. Kendall Jenner: I tried stealing these designer trousers off set, but they caught me. The designer found out and sent them to me anyway. Wait, are you serious? That they are given more weight to their words than experts or scientists. This doesn't annoy me about celebrities. What's annoying is the culture that facilitates it. This gets to the real issue. Celebrities are people who are entitled to their opinions like everyone else. The real problem is the media and culture who then elevate those voices. Taylor Swift isn't holding a gun to BuzzFeed's head to share a quote of hers, but BuzzFeed will still share it and call her queen for her generically good statement. Reddit is no better. We are the ones upvoting every story about a celebrity donating money or doing something basic that your neighbor, the mailman, is also doing without getting the attention. Again, the celebrity donating or speaking out isn't necessarily the issue. It's a good thing they are doing that. It's sus acting, like they are the second coming of Gandhi for donating the equivalent of me giving $50, or Malcolm X speaking truth to power because they attended a protest along with 100,000 other people. The news articles, man. LeBron James first one to use stadium's new toilet. Stupid shit like that drives me insane, and there's billions of those shitty articles, lol. Kylie Jenner, brave for taking off fake lashes and hair extensions. She's a self-made gazillionaire, if you ignore all the family money. I used to work at the BBC, and the majority of them, either intentionally or unintentionally, were absolute assholes. Simple stuff like getting up, walking across the room to get water is something they expect other people to do for them. Chasing across the country in the pouring rain to deliver something to someone's house in the middle of nowhere because they wouldn't wait 30 seconds for a script. Then screaming abuse at them when, by a miracle, They actually find your huge country house in the rain and dark that doesn't have a name or a number. I'm looking at you, David Frost, you massive cunt. Or calling the police because they ring on your door to deliver something they were expecting. I won't name that one as they are still alive. So many of them with petty expectations or just plain rudeness. Paula Yates, may she rot in hell, I think was the absolute worst one of an overall very bad bunch. Don't get me wrong, some of them were lovely people. Kate Aid was extraordinarily nice, letting me wait in her London pad and insisting I had some sherry. But there were a distinct minority. David Bowie was also very nice. TLDR, what annoys me most about most celebrities is they are arrogant and ducking rude. Paula Yates came to a restaurant I used to waitress at in Chelsea. Must have been around 1998/99. She was vile and I've never served such a spoiled brat. Tiger Lily threw every single item on the table onto the floor with force, but we had to keep putting stuff on the table because it was a restaurant. Her mother did nothing and also ate nothing. Just let her daughter crack on with making our lives a misery. I sat on the table next to Bob Geldof and his daughters once and overheard one of them say something quite rude about the appearance of another diner in the room. To his credit, he shut them down immediately and quietly berated her for her behaviors for several minutes. Say what you like about him, but he's a good dad, especially for taking in Tiger Lily. They're fans. I can understand if you like an actor or musician. But they are not just gonna see you in the crowd one day and decide to marry you. It's not gonna happen. Are you saying Harry Styles isn't going to marry me? How hurtful. Don't worry, there are plenty of other hairstylists in the sea. If they commit a crime, they are less likely to get as long of a sentence as a non-celebrity. Especially rappers. I love rap, but a rapper can shoot up a children's hospital and be out on bail in 2 weeks. A rapper could rape an orphanage, and Twitter would be blowing up with a hashtag saying yo #FREKANYE what happened to him was ducked up. They don't annoy me. The fact that we, as a society, worship and shower them with wealth and platforms for their obviously useless opinions on complex issues is what is annoying. Haha. Seems like no one is ready to have that conversation. Our adoration towards celebrities is reflected directly by our culture. It kinda seemed like that was gonna change in the beginning of the quarantine because of all the love doctors, nurses and scientists were receiving, but unfortunately it didn't stick. The way they try to seem relatable. We're all in this together. No, the duck, we are not. We are walking while you're flying. Stop trying to seem like you're one of us cause you're not. It's like they don't realize that simply not saying anything is a valid choice. It is until they get yelled at for being complicit in the badness for not using their platform. It's a lose-lose for them often. Just so out of touch with reality. Seeing a bunch of rich celebs singing Imagine, having no possessions, in the middle of a pandemic is not inspiring, it's enraging. I was there throughout the lockdown. That if I were a rich celebrity, I would close my doors and windows and keep ducking quiet, as this was exactly the time when you could expect peasants coming to your front gate with torches. Only an idiot draws attention to themselves during such time of instability. It's really best to keep your profile low instead of rubbing it in. More than annoyance, but the environment is a breeding ground for sexual grooming, pedophilia, sexual assault, etc. And many are part of it or turn a blind eye to it. Their wealth and status separates them from most of society and they are not held as accountable as non-celebrities. They also grandstand and make shows of caring by telling us, the common people, how we ought to treat each other and care for one another. But rarely do they give from their own personal coffers, and if they do, most ensure it's a visible act. It ends up being about them more than the people they are trying to help. We should be caring for one another even if never documented or offered up to the masses for recognition and praise. Yep. This times a million. One of the most jaw-dropping things I've ever seen was when Corey Feldman was on a talk show and started discussing the rampant pedophilia and sexual abuse in Hollywood, which he and another actor/friend of his named Corey Haim were both victims of. Barbara Walters literally cut him off and essentially chastised him for making Hollywood look bad. I think her exact words were, "You're damaging an entire industry." He was like, Question mark question mark question mark. No, I'm not. I'm telling people what happens to kids in Hollywood. Yep, I remember that. It's just awful. We know they do this, and there is no accountability. With the growing awareness of sex/child trafficking right now, I hope more people realize that celebrities and people in positions of power are often key players and they need to be held accountable. How a lot of them believe they're a gift to the rest of us lowlifes. As much as I like Kanye's music, gotta admit, this pretty much sums up his attitude. Yeah, for real. I can respect what artists like Kanye have done for music in general, but if they never existed, would we really care? The culture of worship that surrounds them, because it's stupid. The way they never ever acknowledge their nannies or housekeepers or personal chefs or assistants. Then they are all self-carers and day and hey, you know what? I'd maybe have time for self-care too if I never cooked or cleaned, or had to do every damn thing in my own life in the few hours between working and sleeping. If people knew how many staff were in America's Sweetheart/Captain Awesome's mansion 365 days a year, they maybe wouldn't be quite as relatable, I guess. When Kumail Nanjiani got shredded, he was sure to highlight that it would have been impossible for him to get in that shape without the help of the trainers, chefs and nutritionists provided by the studio. I appreciated that. Rob McElhenney has said similar things. Their honesty is refreshing. Trivial problems that make headlines in shitty tabloids. I saw one posted on Reddit in the past couple of days about one of the Kardashians bravely foregoing full slashes and beauty treatments during the pandemic. I don't know how they cope. Hello peasants. I sit here in my $1 billion mansion and drink champagne. That would pay your mortgage off. I have been asked by a charity that paid me millions to ask you people that can't even afford to put your kids through college to give this charity money to save the starving dolphins of Africa with AIDS and Ebola enough money so they can get shoes. Now I myself am not going to give them money. In fact, they are paying me to do this ad. Enough to buy a boat, but you who have so little need to give money to this charity. Or else you're a scumbag and I as a celebrity that you like will hate you forever. Please give generously. This is what I hate. It's like a guy with 100 Mars bars asking me to give a starving child half of the one I just bought. Reminds me of that episode in SpongeBob where Patrick ate a choco bar and blamed SpongeBob for it. Thinking that they can close off multiple streets with no problem because it's their show. Thanks for making me late to work. Lena Dunham. PS your show sucks ass. When they don't actually do anything worth being famous for. Cough Kardashians cough cough. Kim Kardashian got famous for sucking off a rapper that no one knows anymore. So. Nothing worth being famous for. Telling people that if they try hard they are gonna be successful and accomplish all their dreams. It just makes poverty seem like a mental thing. It sounds cute and encouraging, but it isn't that simple. Yeah, as a result of that, countries like the US and the UK do not want to invest in social programs to help people in poverty or are homeless because we were basically told that it's all their fault and if they tried they could get out of poverty and homelessness when actually it is much more complex. When they teach you that you can become anything you want, they also teach you that everyone becomes what they want to be when they've grown up. With that in mind, it's not really surprising that so many people look down on the poor and the needy. They were taught that those people want to be that way. I think most of the hate here is directed at younger actors and musicians who were chosen at childhood by agencies to be stars. Those people can easily develop narcissistic tendencies. However, people like Samuel L. Jackson, who only started acting at age 30, or any actor or musician who has ever worked in manual labor are more often honest people than not. Harrison Ford was a carpenter, wasn't he? Anyone got any anecdotes to confirm asshole not an asshole? He is a very antisocial guy who struggles with social anxiety. If you notice, when he is promoting something on a late night show, he usually does a sketch instead of a normal interview, because he can focus on his lines and performance, and not the crowd. Most of them spend more time worrying about their image than about other people's quality of life. To be fair, their image is their job and responsibility. Other people's quality of life isn't. They think, just because they're famous, that their opinion matters when most of them are uneducated. This is a problem until you agree with their viewpoint. Then rah this celeb is the best because he/she tells it like it is. Because he/she tells it like it is. This seems very familiar. The fakeness of their lives, especially the Kardashians, all show tremendously overpaid and shallow. Meet the Kardashians doesn't need to exist. All it is a bunch of whiny rich girls crying over the most simple shit that even kindergartners won't cry over. My mom loves that show, and I just can't take it. Just give your children a goddamned candy. Stop crying. Jesus. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.